What happened when your wife asked for a modern marriage? My wife Nancy told me she wanted to live separate lives at our anniversary dinner. She said, "We need more independence, separate bank accounts, separate schedules, no checking in with each other." She kept pushing her dessert around her plate and wouldn't look at me. I asked, why? She said, "Modern marriages work better with space. We're too codependent." Her voice sounded rehearsed, like she'd practiced this speech in her car before coming inside. "So we live like roommates?" I asked. "Exactly. Total freedom. No questions about where we go or what we do," she said. The eagerness in her voice made my chest tight. She'd been going out more lately, coming home late, always talking about new people from her yoga class, especially her instructor who supposedly knew everything about relationships. I said, "If that's what you want." She looked surprised. "Really? You're okay with this?" she asked. "You said it'll make us stronger, right?" I replied. She nodded quickly and finally looked at me. Relief washed over her face like I'd just given her a gift. The waiter brought our check, but she didn't notice. Her mind was already somewhere else. I knew exactly why. She had no idea what she'd just started. The next morning, I opened my own bank account and moved my entire paycheck there. When Nancy checked our joint account 3 days later, it was empty. She asked, "Where's your deposit?" I said, "In my separate account." Her face went completely pale. She said, "But the mortgage is due. I can't pay it alone." I told her, "That's your problem now." She had to call her parents that week, and I could hear the embarrassment in her voice when she asked them for money. 2 weeks later, her sister called me. "Is Nancy coming to my bachelorette party Saturday?" she asked. I said, "No idea. We don't share schedules anymore." She sounded confused. "Since when?" she asked. "Nancy wanted it this way." "Call her directly," I told her. Her sister tried, but Nancy didn't answer. She missed the party completely. When her sister found out later, she was furious. "How do you miss your only sister's bachelorette party?" she asked Nancy. Nancy couldn't explain without sounding insane, so she just stood there looking guilty. Then Nancy's car broke down on the highway. She called me repeatedly, but I didn't answer. Separate lives meant separate emergencies. She waited 4 hours for a tow truck in the rain. Cost her hundreds she didn't have. When she got home, she screamed, "Why didn't you help me?" I said, "How would I know you needed help? We don't communicate, remember?" She started to argue, but stopped mid-sentence. A month in, our joint credit card got canceled. Nancy hadn't paid her half because she couldn't afford it after the mortgage. Without it, she couldn't pay for her yoga class. She admitted, "Bradley had to cover me in front of everyone." Then she froze. I asked, "Who's Bradley?" She stuttered, "My instructor." But her face told me everything I already suspected. "The one who gives you relationship advice?" I asked. She went silent and walked out of the room. Her mom called that weekend. "Nancy says you won't coordinate anything with her," she said. I told her, "Ask Nancy why she wanted it this way." Her mom drove over immediately and found Nancy in our kitchen. Nancy tried explaining, but it sounded ridiculous. Her mom kept asking, "Why would you want that?" Nancy just stood there looking guilty. Eventually, Nancy was completely broken. She'd borrowed thousands from her parents. She'd missed 3 family events I didn't tell her about. Her sister wasn't speaking to her anymore. Her dad had driven by the yoga studio at night and seen Nancy's car there at 11 p.m. He told her mom, "No class runs that late." They started putting the pieces together themselves. Nancy knew they were getting suspicious and it was eating her alive. Bradley stopped responding to her texts because his wife was asking questions. Nancy couldn't afford anything anymore. She'd maxed out her personal cards trying to keep up with basic expenses. One night she begged, "Please, can we just go back to normal?" I asked, "Why? Aren't you enjoying your freedom?" She yelled, "This isn't what I meant." I said, "Then what did you mean?" She went silent because we both knew the answer. Her phone wouldn't stop buzzing with family group texts she couldn't respond to. Nancy sobbed, "I was wrong. Please, let's forget this separation thing." I handed her actual separation papers I'd had drawn up weeks ago. "You wanted separate lives. Here's the real thing," I said. Her phone lit up. Bradley's wife. "Stay away from my husband." Nancy's face went completely white.